Hello and welcome to the Balanced CEO podcast. I am so happy that you're here. Thank you for tuning in. So today we're going to talk all about when to know when it is time to pivot or to make changes, whether that be in business or your personal life. So this is coming from a very raw place today. So I have 3 businesses. I've got a co-working space, online coaching business, and a wellness space. And as of this morning, my best friend and my business partner and I have decided that we are going to sell our co-working space. We have only owned this for a very short amount of time. We created it, we opened it in May this year. It took us about 3 or 4 months to actually build the amazing fit out that we did. And we had the idea in mind that it would be this quite passive business, that once we set it up and we had the fob system, door, and it would kind of run itself. And we were just very wrong. We didn't take into consideration how much time and effort that it really does take to get a business off the ground. And we put our heart and soul into this space, and we really wanted to create a beautiful space, not just for ourselves, but for our community, for people in Whangarei, a place for people to go. But I don't think we comprehended actually what it would take to run after we had created that. We both live an hour away from each other. It's not a easy haul for us to just pop in there. We're 2 hours away from each other. We're each an hour-ish away from the co-working space. So there has been a lot come up today. A lot of feelings of like, it feels right. Like, it definitely feels right. I want to put so much into my coaching business. I'm running an overseas retreat. I have a wellness space here on my property. I can't give what that space needs. Like, what that space needs is someone who is there day in and day out, and they are passionate. Maybe they have another little project and they're there and they want to run it from the space. They've got marketing ideas and they've got money to spend on advertising, and they want to get out there in the community. And we just don't have that time, and neither of us are going to drop our other businesses in order for that to happen. And we never were. I guess we just had this idea that it was going to be quite passive and easy, because we'd invested all of this money into the door system so that we didn't actually have to be there. But for something to work, the owner or the manager or an administrator or someone has got to be there. It's got to show face. It's not a good look when you go into a space and there's no one around. So we hope that we can find the right person that is passionate, just as passionate as we are, of what we have created. We've put a lot into it. It was not an easy road. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of our creativity, a lot of late nights into creating this beautiful space. But we both know in ourselves that this is the right thing to do. And I think when you talk to potentially the wrong people about this sort of thing, they'll say, oh, you haven't given it enough time. No, you've just got to stick it out and you've got to do this. I'm very intuitive, and so is my business partner and best friend. And we know when something is right, and we know when it is the right time to let it go. And this is what I want to talk about today, is how do you know? This wasn't even a discussion for me yesterday. So I was sitting in meditation this morning, and I just had this feeling and this knowing of, I think it's just the right call to sell it to buy. I'd never even thought, it had never even crossed my mind that it would happen this early. But I've been asking for signs. I've been asking for little hints as to how do I know what my next step is? Like, where is my energy being leaked? Where do I need to let go? What do I need to focus more on? And I can't deny when something like that comes through, because over the years, it has always paid off for me to listen to my intuition. And I've had to do that a lot over the past few years. I started my first business around 6 years ago when my daughter was only a few months old. I started a clothing business, like a kids and maternity clothing business, bringing in, importing brands from all around the world, and some local brands as well. And I did that because I was trying to escape the reality of motherhood. I wanted to start something that would take my mind off the postnatal depression that I had. And I had to very quickly realize that this was not something that was doing me any good, and that I really needed to make the decision whether me spending more time with my daughter or me trying to pursue this thing was worth it. And I ended up selling it, excuse me, within about 6 months of starting it, which I was completely fine with. And I've also had to make some pretty big calls over the past couple of years in terms of, when I built the Wellness Haven, I originally wanted it to be in a much bigger premise. I wanted it to be in a big shed that's on our property. And I soon realized that I would be financially shooting myself in the foot and completely fucking myself over if I had have gone down that track, because I had such tunnel vision for such a long time as to, it's gonna work. It works in Auckland. Like, people come up here to visit. There's nothing like this out here. And all of those things are true, but the scale of what I was trying to build it on, it just wasn't necessary. And it took me a lot of money and a lot of time to realize that. It took for engineers and planners to tell me that I would have to engineer gravel my driveway, and like all of these crazy things for what I wanted to do. It was pretty insane. And I went, you know what? Fuck it, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that road. I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to do it in a studio that I'd already renovated this studio. So it was there ready to go. It was a great space for the recovery room. And then there was another shed on the property that didn't need a lot of work, that was perfect for the gym. And it's worked so great. Like, yeah, it was still a bit of work, but way less work, way less money, and a lot less time to do that compared to what I wanted to do. But I had to put my ego aside and go, it is time to go, actually, it is time to kind of throw away all of the time and the money that I'd put to get to the point where I was. It was either that, or I keep going and I really fuck myself over. And I just had to make that call. And I knew deep down, I'd known for a while, but I'd been ignoring this little feeling, this little thing inside of my head and in my body, that actually this is not the path that you need to go down. You need to do this on a smaller scale. And I didn't know it at the time, but that would then lead to the opportunity of me buying a property overseas. I invested that money into a villa overseas, and it is only but given me an amazing return. It was a very, very incredible investment that I made for a much smaller amount of money, and there's no way that I would have got that same return had I done the Wellness Haven the way that I was originally planning to do. So that was a time, where I had to really decide, like, am I going to, I'd advertised and I'd marketed it as this big space, and I had to really go, shit, this is bruising my ego a little bit, but it's not worth staying there. It's not worth going down that road. And thank God that I didn't, because it absolutely absolutely paid off. I think the only way to really know when the right time is to shift, whether that is in business or in your personal life, like I had to make a pretty huge call a couple of years ago to leave the father of my child to go down a different road and live a different life to what I was currently living. And that certainly wasn't fucking easy. It was a long, very long-winded process of, when am I going to make this call? How do I make this call? I'm going down here, but this is leading me here. And like, I guess it's just, when your body is giving you all of those signs of now is the right time, and it will just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But your body's got to be regulated enough, and you've got to be quiet enough in order to actually hear those messages and those things that are trying to come through to you. Like when I had my first ever breathwork journey, I'd been in real estate for 8 years. I'd worked my way up the ladder. I was working for a really high achieving real estate agent, and I actually really enjoyed who I was working for at the time. And I went into my first breathwork journey not having any clue, any idea what the hell I was getting myself in for. And I had only kind of really just started diving into this work, and I just had this overwhelming knowing that I had to quit my job. And like, I had no fucking idea what the next steps were. I didn't know, what that was leading me toward, but I knew that I had to listen. And I actually physically couldn't be in those spaces anymore after that. For about 2 weeks after it took me 2 weeks to quit my job, even though I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I know that there is obviously something else out there for me. And sure enough, I still didn't know what I was going to do. So I had a little job interim in the meantime. And it was because I was being led to be a breathwork facilitator. And a few months later, I got accepted into the breathwork facilitator training that I did. And there is no way that I would have known that. And I could have stayed in that job. I could have stayed doing real estate. I could have stayed doing what I was doing, working in that office, not really ever getting ahead. And there is no way that that would have led me down the path that I am on today, or led me to where I am today. So sometimes we get these intuitive hits and these like knowings in our body, and if we don't act on them, if we don't listen to them, then it starts making life pretty hard. Like the more that we start to listen to these cues and these messages from our body, the easier it is to start making these types of decisions, because the universe then starts telling you more and more messages because you're starting to listen. And then you stop trying to find things from the outside world, from the external. So often we're trying to grasp things from the external, from the outside, from things. We're trying to get messages or get signs from things that are external to us, when it is always inside. And without that sounding like super fucking woo, it's true. The messages, the answers are always within us, but we are generally so chaotic and so busy and stressed that we can't actually hear. We're not silencing ourselves enough to actually get the answers that we're looking for. And I'm really big on the more you relax, the more that you receive. And that is because you are relaxing your body, you're bringing yourself into a regulated state, and you're getting the answers to these questions that you're trying and using so much energy toward trying to find from an outside source. When if you just relaxed and actually asked yourself the questions that you're trying to find the answers to, they will come to you so much easier. So it's really just a case of, if you are at a crossroad of not knowing what to do, not knowing what your next steps are, not knowing whether it's time to let something go, start asking yourself the questions. Start getting quiet enough. Start asking yourself for signs, because they will come through to you. And another way of diving into that is, like, how does it feel in your body to let that thing go? So like for me, yes, I love what I've created at It's a Vibe. I love the co-working space. I love the energy that's there and everything that we've done, but it is a big burden to me. It takes away time from some of the other things that I'm trying to achieve. I want to grow the Wellness Haven. I want to do more, more overseas retreats. I want to expand my course, and I want to work more one-on-one with women, and that's what really lights me up, and that's taking, me putting the effort into It's a Vibe would be taking away from all of that as to that's where I want to grow. That's where I really want to put my energy and my focus. And I can't put, uh, It's a Vibe needs all energy. It needs all of my attention, and I can't give it that. So that is when I know that it is the right time to let it go, to find someone that is more compatible, to find someone that wants to come in and just take over a already established business. It's a turnkey business. We've put so much into that space, and it's an amazing opportunity for somebody, and it is time for us to let it go so that we can, or so that I can then go and put my energy elsewhere into something that is moving the needle for me, like both financially and energetically, and doing the things that light me up, and actually having some more spare time to spend on myself, because I didn't create these businesses for me to be busy all the time. I created them for freedom. I created them to live the life that I want to live, to wake up and be able to, plan my own schedule. And that means going for 2 walks a day, and, spending time with my girls and my dog and my daughter, and spending time on my business, but not a desk all of the time. And so, yeah, my biggest point of this, and my biggest advice when you are feeling stuck and not knowing when to pivot, or when to shift, or when to move, is start connecting in with your body, because you're not going to find the answer from the external world, from the outside. It's never going to come from asking other people for advice, or anything like that. I didn't ask, we didn't ask anyone's outside opinion when we made that decision, because we are the ones that know that it's right for us. And yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of people that are maybe disappointed, or think that we could have tried harder, and that's cool, that's fine, but they're not living our life. Like, they're not in the shoes of, they're not in my shoes, they're not on my journey, they don't know what my big goals are. They're not living this life, so their opinion actually doesn't matter to me. I am on this journey, and I know, because I'm connected in with myself and my body and my intuition, and I know when things are right and when they are not. I have just this thing where I just know, but that's because I take the time to get quiet enough to do so. So I have loved this episode. I've loved talking about this, and thank you so much for being here. Please make sure that you like and share and subscribe and all of the things. It really, really helps. Obviously, this is a new podcast, and I'm just really excited to bring you even more episodes. And let me know in the comments what you would like me to talk about next. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.